Hi, Jed from Cook Culture. This is a video about maintenance of cast iron. So we sell a lot of cast iron cookware and carbon steel cookware, and people will start with cast iron and carbon steel and sometimes struggle on their way to using it effectively. And so I've created quite a few small videos on trying to help with some of the steps of what happens in the beginning of using carbon steel and cast iron. And one of the things that is quite common is that people that are cleaning their cast iron will clean off their seasoning, and they take their seasoning right off. So using either a chainmail scrubby or a really aggressive brush of some sort, and they take the seasoning off. And this isn't that bad in itself if you can post-season well enough, and post-seasoning is something that I've gone over in other videos. But what happens often is that people will scrub, leave their pan and put it away. And something that happens that is absolutely horrible is that. So this is rust on the surface of your pan. And this is a very, very horrible thing. This can become very damaging to the pan, but right now this is superficial. So what's happened is that I have done this as an example for you. This is not how I would leave my cookware. However, I cleaned this pan, I scrubbed it hard, I took the seasoning off, I left it damp, and I let it sit, and it created rust. So we have had people come in and be like, hey, my pan is rusty. And what's happened is that they've allowed the seasoning to come off, the raw cast iron to be exposed, and it gets rusty with wet and oxidized, and that's what happens. So this is normal. If this has happened to you, this is normal, and this is not a big deal. This is very superficial. So what I'm gonna do here is just take a damp nylon cloth and just rub that down. You could do this also under hot running water. I'm just gonna take that off. And you can see it where the cast iron, when I go over here, seasoning, it beads. No seasoning, it doesn't. Damp cloth, give it a wipe. Okay, oxidation is all off. Okay, so problem mostly solved. So the oxidation is gone. Now we get it onto the stovetop. We're gonna put it on. This is the post-seasoning process that should have happened when it was first cleaned. I shouldn't have ever really needed to take it right down to have taken off this part here to expose bare metal, but I was trying to prove a point. So I'm going to grab my Buzzy Wax seasoning paste, and I'm going to grab my cloth, my seasoning cloth, and I'm going to put a nice coat of seasoning. That guy turned off. Nice coat of seasoning. And because I've taken it right down to bare metal a little bit in the middle, I'm gonna do this a couple of times. But right now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna let this get hot on here. It's already warming up. I'm gonna let this get hot to a point where it just starts to smoke. And I do go over this specific process of post-seasoning in other videos. This point of today was really to talk about when you see your pan in the morning after cleaning up dinner and it's rusty, not to panic, really easy to clean, and just get it wiped out. Get it back on the hob, and you will have success very, very quickly. So nothing to freak out about. You know, when you have a beautiful field cast iron pan like this one, you spent a lot of money on it, you care for it, and all of a sudden you made a simple mistake, not a problem. Easy to fix. As you can see, it's already back on the way of being healed. So still a little bit thin in the middle where I really worked yesterday to get something stuck on off, and I exposed the bare raw cast iron, which I really had never tried to do. However, I did do that, and it gave me the ability to make this video for you. So this is now starting to heat up. It's going to smoke here in a sec. We're gonna let that completely cool, so it's absolutely room temperature. It's already just starting to smoke off the surface here. And then I'm going to do this seasoning again. I'm gonna build up another 2 seasonings with this post-seasoning process. So I hope that helps. No need to panic. if all of a sudden you see even just small rust spots, or if for instance you put the pan away and then you put a second pan on top of it in storage and you've created a rust ring on the inside, and all of a sudden you go to use your beautiful pan, you've got a rusty ring. Sometimes that can also just be on the surface of the seasoning, and the rust comes from the bottom of the pan that you put it into. So in that point, sometimes nestling them with a silicone barrier or even a piece of paper towel is nice just to stop that happening of the rust transfer. That said, you can always season the bottom of your pan. A little bit of seasoning and get it on the bottom of the pan. That's nice to do of baking it in the oven. So seasoning oil all over it, bake it in the oven, and that will stop any transfer of rust from the bottom into a pan. So hope that's helpful, and any comments, please leave them below. Thank you very much.